Oh my god, the host just triple slapped me.
You see who's food running today?
56 was just sitting there making out the entire time I was trying to take
Why do we have
orders.
so many servers on the floor? Did you hear about 73?
This is a work of fiction. Any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events, is purely coincidental.
Yeah, you should change that.
Yeah.
Just say greet.
Great. So...
Not out loud. Say the whole sentence over.
Oh, true. Yeah, I could do that too.
Just say greet. Greet. I'm like, I don't need you to say it.
Dumb
you need
bitch.
you to say it. Greet.
Welcome back to Rolling Silverware. I'm Kat.
I'm Bunny.
This is our post-shift shit talk.
Let's get into a little bit of the shit talking.
Yeah.
Let's just get right into it.
I mean, there's some stuff to say. So
Yeah.
this week, some stuff came up, and they asked me to hammer
I'm so proud of you.
my very first hammer shift.
Just growing up on us, guys.
I know. So I got a little promotion. It's very cute. And I've always sympathized every single time you talk about anything that goes on with your hammer shifts and
Right.
how, with the people and the side work and, just in general, the hammer shifts. I've always sympathized,
Sure.
but I've never truly understood.
You've never dealt with it one-on-one.
Never. And then I realized that trying to get grown adults to put glass racks
They're just
in the back
full-size children, really.
it's like training feral cats to do circus tricks.
Yeah.
It was incredible. So I have fucking Dude Bro, the pretty little thing, 19-year-old, 20-year-old server that we have, and my busser is her 40-year-old boyfriend. And great value
yes.
Clark Kent. There's so many things to say about him, but we'll leave it at the fact that the age gap between them is almost as old as she is.
The age gap between them is, in fact, old enough to vote.
It's old enough to drive, to vote.
It's old enough to get drafted in war. Yeah, almost old enough to drink. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
problematic, maybe?
most likely, because she was, 17 when she started?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and call that just disgusting on itself, but regardless.
Sure.
So, and then I did have Girly Pop on with me. She was great. She
So
was
strong.
everything.
Yeah.
Super strong. I didn't have to worry about her at all. But I get hit maybe 2 hours into my shift. It's bug night, baby.
Yes,
And
it is.
oh my God. So my first hammer shift, now all of a sudden it's bug night as well? Cheers.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So do all the hammer stuff you've never done before, and also make sure everybody's doing bug night according to how it's supposed to be done, which you've also never done before.
Which I've also never done before. And then I have
You've done a bug night here though, right?
Yes.
Okay, because for a while I was doing them all the time because we used to do them on Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
Bug night used to be Thursday for the first 2 years that I worked here, and I was it was me and 2 other servers were on every single fucking bug night.
Oh, I bet.
So I started asking, can we rotate this? Take me off Thursday night once a month if it means I don't have to do bug night,
Yeah.
And then they switched it to Wednesdays, so therefore I don't have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But-
So that was great. And then I have the bartender who was typically our supervisor, but he was bartending that night.
Okay.
So supervisor's bartending, and he's asking
And
me,
he's never done bug night as
and
a
he's
bartender.
never done bug night, as a bartender also. He's like, what do I cover? And I'm like, everything. I don't know. Anything that's open and that guests use. And he's like, but that's all of the bottles. And I'm like, yeah.
No, we don't cover the bottles because they're sealed.
I don't know. I was like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, it's you don't have to cover the shelves of liquor, but you do need to cover all the glassware and then all of the utensils that we use for bartending and
Yeah,
whatnot. Is it a pain in the ass? Yeah, it is everywhere. I mean, anybody in the industry knows what bug night means. And if you don't know what bug night means,
you don't work nights.
Or
Well,
you don't work in the industry.
Even if you work in the mornings, you you come in the next day after bug night and you realize like, oh, all of this stuff is either missing or covered. I have to reset this. Da, da, da.
Right.
So even if you work strictly days, you've never worked a night shift in your life, so you have no idea how to close a bug night.
Yeah.
You would still understand what bug night meant because every time you came in after that.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a disaster. And so, yeah, everything has to be moved and covered. Basically, we're ripping open trash bags and covering everything. Anything that a guest might get, because we're spraying for bugs. And every restaurant does it, or if they don't, they should.
Yeah.
Like it's a very common thing. It's good. It's a good thing that we do bug night.
Yeah, and once a month, I never have I had an issue with the fact that bug night exists. It's more just so annoying because now you're doing like twice the side work, essentially.
Yeah, and the only time that I really, really care, like, sure, is it annoying? Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when I really care is when it's 9 o'clock at night and the restaurant is closed or even coming up on close, and half my servers have gone home. And then they drop that on me, and then they go, oh, by the way, it's bug night. So it's like, okay, cool. So instead of having 8 people do this, I have 3.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm just like, awesome, great. And you keep in mind, they don't have to cover anything in the manager's office.
No.
So there's no prep on their end. It's solely just more work for us out on the floor.
Yeah. So I assigned the side work according to who's going to get cut, and I did a very good job. Thank you very much. I felt like there was only 3 people, but it was still, you know what I mean?
I was going to text you and be like, if you have any questions, let me know. But then I was like, no, that feels condescending. She knows what to do. You've helped me do my hammer side work so many nights that I was fairly confident that you would get everything. Yeah. And if you missed anything, it's like, oh, well, hey, it was your first time. You know, like not a big deal.
It was fine, but oh my God, so Dude Bro, I think has just never done a bev station before in his life. Like he's never seen it apparently because
he doesn't even get drinks from there. He doesn't even understand.
I don't.
What do you mean we have a coffee and a tea machine? What?
The fact of the matter is I walk in at one point and I don't know where the hell he is. He's not doing side work, but he didn't even wipe down or dry anything. And that's a basic, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's like the most step of that side work.
I forget things on occasion. Still to this day, the little things will slip my mind that are kind of tucked into the corner, whether it be like the hot towels, making sure there's enough hot towels rolled, or, you know, refilling the coffee beans in the coffee machine. Like little things like that, I'll miss sometimes. Sure. I'm never gonna miss wiping
the counters
down the fucking countertop.
Yeah, where it's all sticky from lemonade and soda and everything else from the whole night. Like, yeah, that needs to be wiped down. Believe it or not, we don't just keep adding to that.
Right. So at 8:55, we are 5 minutes to close. There are still, I don't know, 5 or 6 tables in the restaurant. I have one particular table. I think it was of 7, and one guy on this table was sucking down passion teas like his life depended on it. Okay, he was going to die if I didn't get him passion tea. And
the times when you wish we could bring a jug to the table.
Right. So he's drinking them. On like his 4th passion tea, I go to the back to get him another refill. There's no iced tea, none.
It's been dumped.
The whole thing.
Oh my God.
So I look at Dude Bro and I'm like, where's the teas? And he goes, oh, I asked host manager and he said it was okay, you know, for me to dump it.
You want to know who doesn't have tables on the floor? The host manager.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, I have so many issues with the fact, one, you have done this side work before.
Yeah,
I know for a fact.
I've definitely assigned him this side work before.
I know for a goddamn fact he has done the side work before. He knows to put it in a picture. If there are still guests in the building, you would put it in a picture.
Even if we're still open. Yeah, if we're just still open, I need you to, I need to have access to that.
Right. Second of all, why would you ask the manager? Third of all, why would the manager not look at him and say, ask your hammer?
Right.
Like, every step of that process annoyed me. Like, it made me upset. There was so many, like, I understand it was my first hammer shift, but why would you even tell me that I'm gonna, you know what I mean, be hammer, I'm gonna be in that section, I'm gonna be assigning the side work, I'm gonna be doing the hammer side work, if you're not also going to give me the responsibility of making sure everyone does their side work in the back, or you know what I mean, if I'm not actually hammering, like then if I don't have the responsibility of actually hammering, I'm not gonna do that side work. I'm not gonna assign side work to anybody. You know what I mean? Don't put me anywhere near it.
Sure.
Either you trust me to be hammer or you don't.
Right. And also, don't make decisions without checking the floor first.
Right.
Like, that just feels like basic knowledge.
And I walked up to the host manager and I was like, hey, babes, can I yell at you for a second? And he goes, oh, my God, yes. What hit me? And I was like, did you tell Dude Bro that he could dump all of the iced tea? And he was like, yeah. Yeah, I did do that. He was like, does one of
Great.
your tables need iced tea? And I was like, yeah, in fact, they do. The party of 7 out on the patio. The guy needed
Ouch.
another iced tea. Yeah, I was so mad that he did that and that he completely tried to like override me as Hammer and went to the manager. And then the manager didn't direct him back to me.
Yeah.
Like that felt like purposeful.
I don't think he was trying to go around you. I think it was that he was just asking somebody in charge what to do because he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't really know. I mean, he should know. He's been there so long and he should know. But
like every other day that you do that side work, you have to put the iced tea in pitchers at the end of the night. You don't dump the entire thing. You save some of it for especially when there's still guests in the building.
Well, I go around and I ask. I'll just go around and be like, hey, you have tables. Do you need iced tea or lemonade? Do you need iced tea or lemonade? And if they say yes, cool, then you're getting a picture of that. And I can save that for you, and that's no problem at all.
Right.
But I can't pull it back out of the drain. So
it was, and the whole thing, at one point I literally just walked up to the host manager and I was like, okay, so dude bro still has to do this. He hasn't done it yet. And he's sitting at 71 Rolling Silverware. So I don't know what you want to do about this, but I can't. This is now the third time, or would have been the third time that I told him to do the same things that I've already fucking told him to do. And then
sometimes it's just like pulling teeth trying to get people to do their side work.
It was absolutely incredible, but I am halfway through bug night, getting everything covered. And I'm trying to train these feral cats to jump through a hoop. And the drains start seeping sewage.
Oh my God.
All
of them?
Every drain in the restaurant. The ones at the dish pit, the ones in the bev station, the ones in the kitchen, the ones behind the bar. Every goddamn drain. Just water was filling up out of it. And when I tell you the smell.
Oh my God, I've had it happen at my apartment before. I know exactly. Oh my God, I know. It's just straight sewage. Yeah, it's backup of it's sewage backup. That's all we're getting.
The manager was like, oh, I think it's the bar. I think it's all the water from the bar, or maybe the dishwasher. And I'm like, sweetie, you're smelling the same thing I am. I don't think it's either of those things.
Yeah, this is not a smell we have during the shift.
Never.
This is not, no. Oh my God.
Rancid. So now bug night's canceled because they're not going to wade through sewage to fucking fumigate, right? Like,
yeah, one definitely outweighs the other there. So,
right? So it's very much like, all right, well now bug night's canceled, I guess. And I literally
halfway through completion. Oh God.
And I look over, and pretty little thing is. Her boyfriend starts grabbing the busser starts grabbing a squeegee mop and he starts squeegeeing the sewage water and I'm like, where are you taking that? None of the drains work. Like, where are you gonna bring that to? And he goes, well, this one over here is fine. And I'm like,
for now,
maybe. Like,
it's probably just not as backed up.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, well, you're just gonna chance that? Okay, whatever. But so he's doing the squeegee thing, and then I look over and pretty little thing is also squeegeeing.
Why?
Sweetheart, you still have fry cups to do. You still have silverware to do. Why are you helping your boyfriend with his side work, who, by the way, has been working in this restaurant almost as long as you've been alive? His 17 years at this restaurant, this location even. He came here when it opened. He has been working there 17 years. You know what? You want to know who knows how to do their side work?
Yeah, you want to know who doesn't need help?
He's probably efficiently as fuck. He's going to be the most efficient person at his side work in the entire building. He is the only person that knows more about this place than anybody else.
Absolutely.
I would guarantee that he knows more about our restaurant than some of our like higher ups do. Like,
guaranteed. Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
He knows the ins and outs of it way better. And yeah, what are you doing? Why are you not just doing your side work?
That's what I'm like.
What's happening?
I'm sure he'll be fine.
I'm sure squeegeeing might seem like a fun little task for you to do right now.
No, she just wanted to be with her boyfriend. How about you fucking do your side work? Yeah. And I saw that. I walked immediately into the manager's office and I was like, hey, can you tell Pretty Little Thing that maybe doing her own side work is a little bit more important than doing her boyfriend's side work for him?
Right, which at this point is it's a lost cause. Like,
right.
Like you said, what are we going to do with the sewage water? We don't have anywhere to put it. We're not going to mop it up into a bucket. Like, the drains are backing up. We need to fix the problem.
Right. Also, oh my God, and then I go and sit down in the office, and I was just like, wow, that couldn't have gone smoother. Honestly, for my first shift, so easy, so charismatic. We love her.
I haven't had shit go quite that awry in a long time.
That was so awry.
It's just back-to-back issues.
That was absolute nutty, but I made out.
Yeah, and so now, more recently, they're cutting the floor sooner, you know, and they're also just scheduling less servers, which is what we've been asking them to do for forever.
Yep.
And like tonight is kind of a prime example of like just thinking, like just look at what's happening and think about it. So we arrived to work, we carpooled together, and we arrive at the same time, and there's one other person on with us.
Cutie Patootie.
Cutie Patootie is on with us, so we're all on at 4 o'clock, and the stations go as this. I am in the middle section. I have half of the middle section. You have the lounge, so the cocktail area, and then Cutie Patootie has the other half of my section. And I said, what? And then I'm being told that we have 2 call-outs for the night. I go, okay, great. So are we moving people? And they're like, okay, so we only have 1 server over here in the 80s, and we have 2 servers in the 60s, and then you 2 are here. And I go, okay, so I'm sorry. 1 person gets those 6 tables, but I have to share my 6 tables with another server.
So silly.
And the manager looks at me, and she's the server manager, and she goes, I see what you're saying, and that's wrong. I go, it is. Wouldn't you think that? Yeah. Wouldn't you think? And especially because the server that was going to take over the 80s wasn't coming on until 5 or 5:30.
Great.
And it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So the next person on's patio. And that's at 4:30. So I'm like, so what do you mean? You're going to have 2 servers sharing a section for an hour and a half before anybody else even gets here to be in the main dining area? Do you see how maybe that's a misstep? Like, do you see it? And she was like, oh, yeah, okay. And so she goes to, and then she comes up to me and she's like, we're going to change the floor plan. I go, okay, great. Like, I'm not just trying to be an asshole here, but it's like, if you're going to give anybody the opportunity to have an entire full 6-table section, should it not be your hammer? Should it not be your lead server that you depend on and you rely on to do all of the and make sure everything's done properly? Should it not be me?
Absolutely.
Or the hammer for the night, you know, whoever it may be. I would have made the same argument if I was in lounge and any other hammer were there.
Yeah.
If I saw that floor plan laid out, I'd be like, this feels wrong. So then the host manager changes everything, and then he grabs me and he goes, hey, I just want to let you know the floor plan changed. I go, I know, I changed it. That was me. That was my thought process.
On purpose, yes.
Right. And then everything made it made more sense because then we had 2 entirely separate sections to seat people in, plus you in the lounge, you know, and we got by just fine and everything worked out. We were busy tonight, and I think were we inundated? No. Like, I don't think any one person was ever super inundated. Like I said, at one point during my night I had 7 tables, but also they were in like the process of closing out, some of them, you know. So only for a couple of minutes did I have 7 tables. But then, you know, a few closed out or this or that. So it ended up being totally fine. And I made good money, as we all should. Everybody in the restaurant should be making good money. Yeah. And also, if they want to cut down on labor, the easiest way to do that is just don't bring an extra body onto the floor. Yep. Like, that's the fastest way you're going to cut down on labor is don't have those extra people. Yeah. You know, like, and I get it. They don't want us, you know, inundated, and they don't want us freaking out or like having things go wrong, which apparently 2 servers tonight did have some things go wrong. But my whole point was just that, like, I get it. I get that I've been and you and I together have been in the restaurant industry for so long, right? Like, you've got almost 2 decades. I'm at a decade and a half. Like, I get that we just maybe have that, like, it's a constant thought for me to be like, oh, this makes more sense. Yeah. And it's not that I'm trying to say that I know more than our managers do, but I guess it's just because I'm on the floor and I'm living it, and they're not. They're just focusing on the, like, standards and the specs, you know? Yeah, the numbers. Right. And so if you could just, like, step outside of that for 1 second and just, like, take a quick look around and just be like, do you just want to have one section entirely full? And the rest of the restaurant is fucking empty. Is that how you want your plan to go? Like, if so, cool, great. I bow down and I'll listen to what you say. You know, like, at the end of the day, I'm not in charge. They are. Yeah. But if I could just, like, give a little nudge here and there and be like, hey, this doesn't really make sense, does it? But yeah, I mean, all in all, tonight was fine. So last night during my checkout, I spoke to the server manager, and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know that we've been slacking on doing the weekly side work. And she's like, yeah, we have. And I go, okay, so the weekly side work isn't anywhere that I can find it, but I do know what it consists of. I just don't know what day you want me doing it. But for a long time, I'm not tattling on hammers or closers. I'm also telling on myself. Right. And that's what I told her. I said, this is not at fault to any one person. This is all of us collectively are failing. We're not assigning these weekly side work jobs, so things aren't getting as clean as they should. Like, the coffee mugs are supposed to be de-stained every Sunday. Can you tell me the last time that the coffee mugs were de-stained?
Well, I don't normally work Sunday nights, but I can tell you right now that a lot of those coffee mugs are stained with tannins from the hot tea.
Right.
And I know that because a
And
lot of
rings from
them,
the coffee or from
yeah.
chocolate if people put chocolate in it or whatever. Like, a lot of them stay even through multiple runs through the dish pit.
Yeah.
They're still, because it's stained. It's not just dirty, it's stained.
Yeah, it
you
needs
know?
to be soaked in Dip It and
Right.
then runs
And
through,
I
yeah.
can't tell you the last time that I think that's been assigned. And that falls on me too. I'm a closer on Sunday nights fairly often. But because it's not in our, like, you know how we go to that book when we get to work and it gives us like the oyster breakdown and everything else?
It gives us an update of every day. It'll have like our shift notes essentially.
Yeah,
like
shift
if something's
notes, right.
86
It's supposed to be in the shift notes saying like, oh, weekly side work for today is to de-stain the coffee mugs or is to, deep clean the beverage station or is whatever. There's like 6 of them, right? And so I told her, I said, we're all kind of lagging on this. Nobody's been assigning it, myself included. And she's like, well, then that should fall on me because I'm the server manager and that's something that I should have ready and available. And I go, okay, well, it's supposed to be in our shift notes, but it hasn't been. She goes, no, we haven't updated that. So that means collectively the entire management team has not changed that.
No.
So nobody's updating that. And I can't tell you, I mean, I could flip back through because we have all the previous shift notes. I could flip back through if I wanted to and find out the last time it was different. Like when that side work was different.
That might be 6 to 8 months ago at this point. Like the amount of times I've gone in, and you've done this too, where you've gone in and you're like, hey, are we 86? I don't know. Mahi, right?
Yeah.
Like, are we 86 mahi? And the manager goes, yeah. And it's like, why is it not in our shift notes?
Yeah, it's on our shift notes. And even better yet, it's not on the 86 board that we have. Like nobody's using that at all I don't know. That's just a constant thing. But so tonight I made a point to assign what side work I could, like some of those detail cleanings. I just assigned 3 of them. I was just like, hey, these need to be detailed. Oh, 4, because I gave some to the lounge too.
Yeah.
But it was just like, hey, these are things that we should have been doing, guys. I apologize that it's extra work, but like we just really, and when you have a partner with you, it's really not that much extra work.
No, I would say
it's
it
not
took
that
me
big.
all of maybe 10 minutes to do the half of the hot sauces.
Right, and then your partner did the other half, and it's not a big deal. But it's like,
Yeah.
these are things that should be kept up on. So I had made the point to be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And then like the silverware not getting rolled at the end of the night because people are trying to eke by with just a box when it's supposed to roll a box and a half. And like some of us as hammers, like some of the hammers will write like, oh, you have to do a box and a half at least. Meaning like you can't be upset if I then ask you to do more.
Right.
Because the point is, the standard is that we don't have any silverware left at the end of the night.
But we shouldn't, yeah. Or end of any shift, even the day shift, you shouldn't have any silverware left over. But the amount of times I've come in as lounge at 4 o'clock and they're like, hey, this is left over from today. And it's like an entire box.
It's at least a box worth of silverware. And it's like, okay, well, who didn't roll then? You know? So it's just a lot of things it's a lot of the missing standards that have been like, I guess, just bothering me for the last week and a half. And so today I hit my absolute breaking point. Yeah. And I mean, we had this big celebration, I guess you would call it, for our 200 days of being safe and nobody's been injured on the job, right? Yay. We had our little, and that was really nice. It was great. Yeah, there was snacks. They brought Raising Cane's into us. Like, I couldn't ask for anything else. Like, I didn't have to pay for food tonight. I was, given food and it was great. It was, it was delivered when we were all hungry and everybody got some and there was plenty left over. And like, that's really nice. I did feel appreciated and it did feel nice to like have that, happen. But yeah, there was this one point where I went to drop my dirty dishes and some of the racks in the back were full. And when they're full, we're supposed to drop them to the dishwasher and then replace them with an empty rack. Right. So I did that and I was like, okay, it's full. I'll drop it. I get a new one and then I put my dirty dishes in it. And then I move on to the beverage station, like wash my hands. Then I move on to the beverage station to get drinks for my new table. There's not 1, but 2 empty glass racks. Still in the thing. So I pull out one and I go, great. And every single person that I work with knows how much of a pet peeve that is for me. Specifically empty glass racks. Because it's like, in my head, all you're telling me is I don't give a shit about the next person that walks up here. They can figure it out. Yeah. That's all you're saying. You're just being 1 second worth of lazy. And that's it. It's 1 second. You can pull that rack out and set it on the table behind you, and nobody's going to be mad at you for doing that. Yeah. Not a manager nor another server is going to look at you and be like, wow, you couldn't have taken that to the back. Sometimes you can't.
Yeah, sometimes I don't
you can't.
have
But you want to know what you do have time for?
I have that 1 second, yeah.
To get it out of my way. Or the next person's way. It doesn't even have to be me. So I was like, okay, 1 rack, great. Go to pull the next rack, it's also empty. And I'm like, cool. And I looked at it, And I just look up, and our newest manager is looking at me because he was on the line tonight. He's like, what? I said, whose head do I throw this at? Whose head? I need to know who did this. And he just shrugs. And of course, he doesn't know. Nobody knows. And nobody's going to take credit for it, and that's fine. But just, okay. So now, so first it was the dish pit, and now it's the beverage station. And I'm like, cool. I get my two. I only needed 2 waters. That's it. I get those. I move on to the bread station. And I open up that butter pan to get my butter out, and it's empty.
3 in a row? I would have also been so mad.
I'm going to fucking murder somebody at this point. Like, I have decided to commit murder at this moment in my night. So then absolutely. I say, all right, fuck it. So I ditch that as quick as I can. So now I'm, like, the best way I can explain it to other people, like coworkers and things, is like now I am 45 seconds behind. Mm-hmm. What could have, like, I could have been saved all of this extra effort if just one person did each of those things. Mm-hmm. It didn't have to be all the same person, but why did it all fall on me in that very moment when all of that could have been avoided?
Yeah.
It's those moments, being a hammer, when it's like, okay, cool, so I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, and I also have to have the most tables. Mm-hmm. Like, it's one thing to have the most tables, and like, I think everybody in the industry, almost everybody in the industry would agree that, like, having a lot of tables it's good, right? Because that's where you make your money. Right. But you have too many tables, and that's bad. Like, then it starts to go bad. And
it's a thin line, too.
Yeah, and then you're losing money on every table.
Yes.
Because now things are just going wrong.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, I don't mind being the person that's going to take that on because I want that extra money, and I'm strong enough to do it. But I can't also be picking up the slack of everybody else while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And so that was my only point, was to just be like, I can't fucking handle this. So speaking of things that are not the way they should be, just in my own personal opinion. So for a long time, we have had a broken soap dispenser at that sink where we all, the hand washing
next to
sink.
The dishwasher, or right next to the dish.
Right.
Yes.
It's been broken. It barely puts any soap in your hand. And on top of that, it leaks because there was a crack in it.
Yeah, as long as I had worked there, that thing had been broken.
So it's broken because there's a crack in it. And when you push that little button to release soap, it releases like the tiniest teardrop. Like literally like a cat's teardrop. Like not even like it's, like it was pathetic. You know, you're barely getting soap on your hands. So you got to pump it like 8 times to get any kind of like suds on your hands. So they replaced the soap dispensers.
I noticed that this past like week or two.
Immediately
and I was so
when
happy.
I walked in, it took me 2 seconds because I get to work and then I usually wash my hands before I hit the floor. Mm-hmm. So it took me all of 2 seconds of being in the building to be like, hey, we replaced this. You want to know what they didn't do? They didn't clean the wall. So the wall where the old soap dispenser was, which is now where the new dispenser is literally like caked on with like soap scum. It's gross. It's like they literally ripped the other one off the wall and just went meh and stuck the new one back on. Like they didn't even take.
Why would you do that?
They didn't even take a slightly wet rag to this wall. Like not only is it like caked on with soap, there's like food splatter. You know, like when people are like quickly like, oh no, I gotta get this. Like and there's like drippage, you know, coming down from where the old dispenser was.
I don't think I noticed that at all.
So the new one's smaller than the old one, and you can see like where the old one was.
Oh, gross! Like and a smoker's house.
Exactly.
When they move out.
That's exactly and you take the painting off the wall. That's exactly what this is.
Ugh.
All right, so that. Immediately I laughed and then I got mad, and so I grabbed
and I got mad
because so I used to clean restaurants for a living, right? And also just being a human being who does stuff like kind of the right way most of the time, if I'm gonna take something off the wall and I need to replace it with something new, I'm probably gonna give it a wipe down at least.
Yeah, at
the very least I'm gonna wipe down that area, because especially if it looks like how that fucking does. Like, I almost want to take a picture and post it and just be like, yo, what's this? That was one thing, right? And I'm like, okay, whatever. I grabbed the server manager and I go, hey, new soap dispenser. She goes, yeah, isn't that nice? I go, yeah, it would be nicer if they cleaned around it. And she's like, what the fuck? And I go, yeah, what the fuck? Like, it's just common knowledge. Like, just, you would think common knowledge. So then later on that night, because this was like last week that we got these, right? Mm-hmm. Later on that night, I go to use the employee bathroom. There's just the one, right? And it's usually disgusting. But it's getting better, but it's usually disgusting because everybody uses it. All right, so let me pause the story right there and tell you about something that happened 4 months ago, maybe. Okay. I went to use our back bathroom. And right before I went to wash my hands, so the soap dispenser in there was also broken. It didn't have a lid.
Right.
And they had put saran wrap over the top of it.
That, yep.
Why? I don't know. It's just filled with soap, but now we're saran wrapping the top. Like, I guess we want it enclosed for, like, toilet splashback or fucking whatever, right?
We got knocked from the health code.
As we should.
Because of that thing in the back bathroom.
Okay. Not having a lid?
It needs to have a lid or a cover.
Perfect. So we covered it with saran wrap.
Yeah.
That was our solution.
Yeah.
So right before I pump soap into my hand, I see inside, in the dead center of this soap dispenser, is a full fucking intact, like, mosquito hawk. Like the fucking big guys.
Big ones,
yeah, the big giant ones that freak everybody out. It's just fucking chilling in there. It's straight Jurassic Park. Like, it is engulfed in blue. Yeah.
It's its own little amber thing.
Yeah, it's instead of amber, it's blue
It's
hand soap. Yeah, like antibacterial hand soap. But it is perfectly encased in this soap.
Gross.
So I wash my hands in a different sink, and then I go into the office. We're closed. Like, it was the last thing I was doing that night. I go into the office and I let our kitchen manager know. I said, hey, there's an entire mosquito and also a handful of ants in that soap dispenser. I don't know why, but they're there. And he goes, oh, gross. He's like, can you get that? And I go, no, I'm off the clock.
Absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah.
First of all, no.
He goes, can you get a fork and, like, get that out or something? And I go, no, I'm off the clock. And he goes, haha, okay. And I go, I'm not kidding. I'm off the clock. I'm not going to go fucking fishing for a mosquito in a soap dispenser. Like, that's not happening.
I'm going home.
Right. I'm going home. I'm getting my bag and I'm leaving. I just want to let you know that some shit's fucked up and you should fix it. Or somebody else should fix it. I don't care who you delegate this to, but it's not me anymore. I'm not your employee right now. So I leave, right? I fuck off and I leave. And then I didn't use the back bathroom for a long time because I didn't have to. Mm-hmm. And then, now here we are to today. So that was my pre-story. Mm-hmm. So to last week, I go to use the employee bathroom and there's a new soap dispenser in there too. And I go, fucking dope. And again, right before I go to wash my hands, I see that mosquito's still in there.
No, it's not.
How did it get from the other soap dispenser to this one?
They did not just dump the soap from the old dispenser into the new one.
We couldn't sacrifice the amount of soap that was in the old soap dispenser the trash. We couldn't sacrifice that to the trash with the mosquito hawk and all. We couldn't just fucking ditch that.
There's no way. You're joking.
It's still there. It's still there. Go to the bathroom tomorrow. Go in that bathroom and go look.
You know, I've never been I rarely ever go inside that bathroom.
Perfect. Go look.
I will have to go look. That is
Go fix your hair or something in that mirror and go look. Why? Why? Oh my God, why?
If it's still there tomorrow, I'm taking a picture of it and I'm showing the management team.
I told server manager. I said, hey, remember that mosquito hawk I was telling you about a couple months ago? She goes, yeah, in the soap? I go, yeah, it's still there. In the new soap dispenser.
Absolutely the fuck not. Get out.
What? Also, how am I the only person with eyes that work? Like, what the fuck? Nobody else has seen this shit? Nobody else has seen this shit and thought, like, hey, that's, like, the soap's tainted. That's not even clean anymore. There's bugs dead in it. Like,
that is that's a level of lazy that I cannot comprehend. And I am lazy.
I'm so fucking lazy when I want to be. I'm so goddamn lazy. I've had days where I literally, if I get out of bed, it's to pee and eat and get back into bed. Like, I have wasted away weeks of my life doing fuck all. But do you want to know something I would never do? Yeah, whatever. Dump that in the new...
That's insanity.
Yeah.
I hate that.
So not only did I not get it because I was off the clock that night, kitchen manager did nothing about it, and here we are months later with a new soap dispenser with that same fucking bug in it. Same bug. There's no way it's a new bug. I can't fathom that another one got in there, and this soap dispenser has a lid. I can't
wrap my head around it, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I'm trying to think of who would have changed that over, and it had to be the person that changed the soap dispensers, right?
So somebody told me that it was Ecolab. That Ecolab came and changed our soap dispensers. So I'm thinking, so when I'm trying to relay it to the wall, right, the dirty wall, I'm like, okay, Ecolab might not then think, oh, we should scrub this wall down. Like, that person might not have thought to do that because their whole job is just to replace the soap dispenser, right? There's a broken one. I have a new one. I'm replacing it. Maybe they thought the wall always looked like that. They don't know.
Yeah, fair.
But
it's also kind of outside their job.
It's outside their job, but maybe you would have grabbed somebody and been like, hey, it's really dirty here. Like, maybe we should scrub this down. Like, I don't know.
Can somebody scrub this before I replace it?
It looks fucking gross. Like, the wall looks gross. And, like, all in all, our restaurant is fairly clean, you know?
Yeah,
like,
for the most part.
we do a really good job keeping things clean regularly as we can. But that one spot definitely gets overlooked. So but again, Ecolab, it's not their job, So I could see them just being like, fuck it, I'm going to slap it on here. But you're telling me that guy also went, well, we're just going to dump this old soap in this new soap dispenser.
There's no way that he did that. On the vein of things that shouldn't be, but they are for some reason. We can't guarantee no cross-contamination when it comes to allergies and stuff like that, which I find so not right. I feel like there's gotta be a way that you know what I mean? If somebody has a severe shellfish allergy and they order a steak, I have to tell them, hey, just to let you know, we can't guarantee cross-contamination, but I will let the kitchen know about your allergy. But essentially, they won't, clean the grill in between. If I tell them there's a severe allergy, they won't clean the grill. For some reason, that's too much work for our kitchen, is, to make sure that our guests are fucking safe.
Other jobs I've worked at, we get new pans and gloves.
Right.
The person making their food then is wearing, if they aren't already wearing gloves, they then change out their gloves, or they just put on gloves, and we just pull out a new pan. We have hundreds of pans.
Yeah, there should be no reason, right, that we can't guarantee cross-contamination.
Right.
And I had somebody order a sushi roll, but they specifically let me know that they have a severe shellfish allergy.
Okay.
So I said, fine. I let them know, hey, it shouldn't be a big deal. I'll let the kitchen know. I personally, I'm not cooking the food. I can't guarantee that there's, absolutely no cross-contamination, but I will let the kitchen know, and I'll,
One of all the things to take seriously in allergy for a restaurant is
That's what I'm
highest
saying.
priority.
It always has been in every restaurant I've ever worked at, to the point where when I was working at Yard House, it was standard to ask every single table, is there an allergy I should be aware of before you put anything on the table?
Right.
I watched a girl who had worked there for 7 years get fired because she didn't ask if there was an allergy on the table. And when they put something down, the girl was like, oh, is there XYZ in this?
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic. I can't have that. That girl had worked there 7 years. And she got fired for not asking about the allergy.
Oh my God.
And that's how serious it was taken.
And how serious it should be taken.
And every time. But that
our allergy button is even in when you go to hit allergy.
Huge.
It's all caps locks and it has explanation points and everything, because we want the kitchen to be aware. Hey, this is
important.
Yeah, somebody could die. What are you talking about?
Right. So I put in the sushi roll, I put shellfish allergy with the allergy button, and I go to the back and I let the server manager know, and I go, hey, this person has a shellfish allergy. They ordered it was like a California roll, right? It wasn't,
right,
or whatever it was. Something that didn't have whatever they're allergic to. And she goes, and kind of sucks her teeth. And I was like, I don't know, can he change the cutting board, use a different knife, and change his gloves? This is important.
Yeah, or just lay some saran wrap down real quick. It's right there next to you. Use it when you wrap the sushi roll. Why don't you just lay extra saran wrap down and cover the surface that could possibly have shrimp on it?
Right. And her response to me was just to be like, I don't know if we can do that. Yes, the fuck you can. Yes, you can. Every time, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Don't ever give me, I don't know, just that's one
thing.
This
isn't somebody bullshitting about possibly having a gluten allergy because they're currently not eating bread. This is a little bit different.
Even if they were bullshitting about because they were on a diet, but they didn't want to tell me they were on a diet, so they told me they were allergic to something, cool. I don't care. Regardless, we should take that so much more seriously than we do. For the amount of money that we charge people for every single platter, we should be able to tell guests, hey, if you're allergic to shellfish, I'm going to make sure there's no shellfish anywhere near your food. A separate runner should be brought out for that one person that has an allergy. There should never, technically, you should never take a plate out to a table with a second plate if there's an allergy on that plate.
Sure.
You know what I mean? That plate gets run out separately so that, there's no cross-contamination.
Absolutely.
There's so many steps that could be taken that our restaurant's just well, we can't guarantee it, but we'll try. And it's like, what?
What do you mean you'll try? Either tell me that you can do it or you can't.
That...
Because at this point now I'm gonna stop telling people that I can. I'm gonna be like, well, I might not be able to.
Yeah, that's essentially what I have to do a lot of the times. Because, like I said, even if they order a steak, that doesn't have any shellfish anywhere near it. But our cooks won't clean the grill in between the steak. Even if I tell them, hey, there's an allergy on this table, they'll be like, well, it's not in here, and they'll slap that steak right on the grill, right where they had shrimp not moments before, and then she'll be like, this should be fine. It's not fine.
No, it's not
never fine.
And like I said, we have so many pans because we pan we pan-sear a lot of items. So it's like, what do you mean? Just take one of those.
As we should.
You want to know what's never been in that pan? Shrimp.
Right, because
we don't pan, and we also don't pan-sear it.
Yeah.
We don't pan-sear our shrimp, so just put the steak in the pan. You might not be getting a fire-grilled steak, but you're getting a steak that's safe for you to eat.
Yeah.
Wow.
That bothered me a lot. Like,
it bothers me a lot.
Something that I love that's picked up recently is anytime the managers go to ask me for a favor, is they compliment me first.
Gotta get that compliment sandwich in there.
Yeah, because they notice
that... Hey, Kat, you're doing such a great job. I need you to take this party of 15 by yourself.
Yeah.
You're such a rock star.
Because I started doing that to them.
Yeah,
I'd walk up to them and she'd be like, oh my God. I walked up to the host manager not that long ago and I was like, have I told you your vibe's stunning? It's immaculate. It's so on point every time. And he just starts laughing. He goes, oh my God, thank you. And I was like, yeah, okay, so I need X, Y, and Z. And he goes, oh, that's what it was. Okay, great.
Yes,
love
gotcha.
that. So today, the host manager walks up to me and he goes, have I told you recently? Just like the bangs, like the side swept bangs, I'm living for it. Like it's so much for you. It's
what do you want?
It's everything for you. And I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, I feel like it ages me a lot, because it's not the middle part, curtain bang, whatever. And I'm talking to him, but I'm waiting for the favor to come out. And Paranorman comes over and he goes, did we ever figure out what's going to happen with the 40s? If anyone's going to take the 40s? The host manager looks at him and goes, I'm literally in the middle of asking for a favor right now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, could you fuck off for 1 second?
Literally, that was like word for word what he said. He literally looked at Paranorman and he's like, I'm in the middle of asking for a favor, so if you don't mind. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, like, oh, okay. Yeah, he was obviously very irritated that Paranorman was
blurted that out.
Yeah, was, just being weird. And so the host manager asked him like, oh, did you greet the table? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, okay, great. Well, can you, the whole point of greeting somebody else's table technically to standard is what you're supposed to do is you greet the table, you get their drinks, you get the bread, like you get all of that stuff.
Yeah, you get them entirely started. So that way when the server walks up, they are asking about appetizers and they're asking about entrees and they're just trying to get
it rolling, right? But you're never supposed to go up to the server and be like, oh, hey, I said hi to that table for you. They want this to drink, this.
If one more of our newer people does that to me, like just one more person comes up to me and be like, oh, hey, here, and hands me the slip that we're supposed to be leaving at the table, right?
Yeah.
If they hand me that server slip and they're like, oh, yeah, so that it's, and they, they write as clear as they can because they're going to hand it off to me. Yep. And it's like, oh, it's 2 iced teas and 2 waters and some bread to that table. That's still your job. You shouldn't be talking to me right now. That's still your job. You greeted that table because I couldn't do it right now, which means I probably also don't have time to get the drinks and the bread. That's a part of your greet.
Yes.
Your job is not done.
Yeah.
So the amount of times that I have looked, just in the past 3 weeks, the amount of times that I've looked at somebody and be like, get it.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, I even had one of our hammers do that to me a couple weeks ago.
Wild.
She greeted 31 for me. And she comes up to me and she's like, hey, so they're all getting waters and then 2 of them got these drinks for the bar. Dope. You do it. I need you to do it.
Wild.
The reason that you spoke to that table for me is because I'm fucking busy.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll be over there to get appetizers. Hell, I'll even get the bread if you can't fucking manage that. But do not walk up to me and be like, this is what that table needs. I don't need to know that right now. Mm-hmm. You need to know that and you need to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I would do for anybody every single time.
Paranorman hands me the slip and he did not write clear at all. He had like a bunch of W's on there. There was one thing I did not know what that meant at all. Eventually I figured out it was a D and a C for Diet Coke, but it was scribbles. It was absolute scribbles. And he's like,
I love server shorthand. It's some of my favorite things. To just like slide my paper over to somebody and be like, yo, can you read that?
Right. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, can you get these? Like, I'm also busy at this point. I had 6 tables in, you know what I mean?
Right, in
my
your section.
So I was like, can you get that? And he goes, no, I can't. They just sat me another party of 8. And I was like, okay, dope, whatever. Like, and he's like, I need to say hi to them. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Nobody else can greet them in the entire restaurant. Nobody. Whatever. I was mad that he did that.
Right.
So I get the drinks, whatever. I go out to the table. And he didn't even, like, put the drinks in the system. Like, the alcoholic drinks that they needed. Right. He was just like, oh, and they need a bottle of Kendall Jackson. And I was just like, cool, yeah, I'll do it. Great. Whatever. I was mad. And then I thought that was so funny. The host manager just being like, yeah, I'm literally in the middle of asking a favor.
Yeah,
so
I'm taking care of it.
I was like,
step off for a second.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that tells me everything I need to know about that interaction.
Yeah.
and how they deal with each other. Also loving the host manager when I said something today about like, oh yeah, apparently my attitude's shit, so I can't be a hammer. And he was like, well, you're not supposed to know that. I'm like, first of all, that's not bad criticism.
No.
To tell me like, hey, pick up your attitude. Like, you complain way too much.
Bit, yeah.
You're, a lot of people here maybe don't like you and you're kind of a bitch. Maybe be nicer to people around you and then maybe you can be hammered. That's not a bad criticism.
No, it's not saying that you're bad at your job by any means.
No,
it's
my performance is there.
Right.
It's just,
your
my
coworker
attitude
skills could be worked on. That's it.
I'm very personable. How dare you?
I said coworker specifically, not your people skills, coworker skills.
Yeah, I thought that was so funny, and I just looked at him. I was like, I know everything.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm starting to understand that. I
Yeah.
was like, I know everything that happens in this restaurant, even when I'm not here. I know what's happening.
Well, it's like earlier today when he wanted to tell me about you hammering.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, oh yeah, so Kat, stepped into that hammer role the other night. I go, yeah, I heard. And then he starts to explain some of the things that you dealt with. And I went, no, you don't understand. I had live updates as the night progressed. And I did like a texting motion.
Mm-hmm.
And he went, I got it.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you think we're not talking constantly, you're wrong. Like, just at
So
any
wrong.
point in time, if you have said words to me, I've told you. Like, it's happened. So Gorgeous was standing at the line, and she was the morning hammer, and I was taking over as nighttime hammer. And we had been discussing a bunch of stuff already. Like, I had been there for almost half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going back and forth. And then all of a sudden, server manager comes up and grabs her, or starts talking to her. And so I walk up to finish what I had been saying from the beverage station. Because I thought we're just in, the free area of the rest. Like, we can all be here, Server manager stops talking and then goes, you know what? Come and see me in the office before you leave. And so I go, oh shit, I was not invited to that conversation. Like, you can tell immediately, like, this conversation has ended because I walked up.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, oh shit, is it like, first and foremost, is it about me?
Yeah.
Like, is this something that you're like, hey, make sure, like, are you telling her something about me? Or what are you talking about? Now I just want to know, like, is it about me? Or also, can I know?
Yeah.
And so I found her at the lockers as she was getting ready to leave. And I go, yo, what did the server manager want to know? And she's like, oh, well, she was just telling me. And then I didn't know, but the server manager was like 5 steps behind me because I was facing the lockers. And so I couldn't see her. And she just goes, well, do you just want to ask me? And I went,
I mean, I did, but I didn't think you would tell me, if I'm being perfectly honest.
And I look, I whip around and I'm like, I mean, I was just curious. Like, I just wanted to know. And for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. It was not very important. It was like asking a favor about this or that or whatever. Like, it had nothing to do with me. And 2, it wasn't even juicy,
Yeah.
Like,
it wasn't gossip.
It wasn't gossip.
Like, she asked me to cover a Wednesday morning or whatever.
So then she turns on her heel. The server manager walks away, right? And so she's gone. And I look at Gorgeous and I go, what, does she think we don't talk? Like, does she think that, like, I'm sorry, but restaurants across the board are the most gossip locations I've ever worked for.
Yeah.
Like, of the jobs that I have had, which doesn't hold a candle to the amount of weird jobs you've had.
How dare you?
But of the different, like, types of jobs I've had, restaurants by far, the gossip is spread like wildfire.
Always.
Like, the moment something happens, before an hour passes, everybody in the restaurant knows. So it's like, that's why I looked at her, I was like, what does she think we don't talk? Like, of course I'm going to ask you what happened. You guys immediately stopped speaking the moment I walked up, and then you were told to meet her in the office later. I need to know what the fuck that's about.
Yeah, wild.
Yeah, I want to know what's going on. And so we both just had a laugh about it, but then it was a little weird between me and the server manager for like an hour after that. Because I was just like, hey, I wasn't trying to step on any toes, but also like, I'm here for the tea, and you know that. You give me the tea. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's why, like, she loves a little gossip on her own. Like, she's all here for it. So I'm on the patio. I have a bunch of plates in my hands, and I'm walking in. And the host was then seating a bunch of people in the lounge, right? So she had 3 guests following her.
Okay.
One of the guys, and I have, like, bar glasses on this tray, so I'm also going to the bar. One of the guests in the very end of the line stops and, like, gestures for me to walk in front of him. So I thank you so much. I turn around, and to the back of my head, this grown man says out loud, oh, time to redo your hair, sweetheart.
No.
I have never been so ready to lose my job.
I am offended, and I would have whipped around and said, what? You just said what?
I almost, like, had to bite my tongue. Just be like, oh, and do you wear a hat to hide your receding hairline? Like,
You had
piece of shit. And not only that, I'm sorry, I just did my hair 2 weeks ago. I don't even have roots right now. Like,
right.
What are you even talking about?
Was it you had like what buns in that day? Like
I had space buns, yeah.
So what style is he thinking this is? Did he think it was a rat's nest or something on the back of your head? Like what?
But it's two very clear buns. It's
No,
not, you know what I mean?
know
That's what I'm
that
saying.
your hair
like,
is always immaculately done. Like, what is he even talking about? Even if a single hair's out of place, I'm working. Shut the fuck up.
It was
also the back of my head
offensive.
is none of my business. So why are you bringing
right.
this up to me?
Right, and like let's be real. Like I said, I don't have roots right now. My blonde goes all the way to the root because I just did my hair.
Right.
The red parts of my hair are deep, bright, beautiful red because I just fucking dyed it. Like I do
what
not
do you
know.
mean it's time to redo my hair?
I was so offended. I just kept walking because this is a guest at the end of the day, and it's not my guest, so I'm not. It was.
I probably would have said what?
I dropped.
What
off
was that?
The glass. I dropped off the glasses in the bar, and I walked immediately to Girly Pop because it was her.
Right.
It was her table, and I go, "Yeah, that guy sucks." This is what he said to me, and she goes, "Absolutely not." And she marches over to the table, and she starts saying. She told me later. She walks up, and she goes, "Hey, folks," and he immediately was just like, "Yeah, I'll take a Stella," and she goes, "Okay." And then looks at the other two, and I guess the woman that was on the table goes, "I'm sorry, what was your name?" And she goes, "Oh, it's, Girly Pop."
Right.
And the guy said something, and the girl looked at her and goes, "Well, you interrupted her."
Thank you.
Yeah, and it was very much like, "Oh, thank you, girl
for
on the
noticing.
table." Or
yeah,
it was very much like,
so that guy probably trash all the time.
That guy was just a fucking dickhead.
Yeah.
And I could not believe that he would say something so... And it just felt misogynistic.
Absolutely it was. He didn't like how you had your hair done. It wasn't classic ponytail or pigtails or something. And he was like, ugh, she needs to fix that. None of your fucking business, dude, first and foremost. And secondly, how dare you say something like that out loud? I honestly don't think I would have let that one go. I think I would have turned around everything in my hands and gone, sorry, what? What did you just say to me? Make him say it again. Say it again and explain it to me. Because that's what you need to do sometimes with people, not specifically men, but not just men. Sometimes people just say shit and they think they can just get away with it. And when you call them on it, then it's like, oh, or never mind. And I would have been like, yeah, dope. But there's absolutely no way I could have walked away from that interaction. Like I'm pretty sure, like I'm heated right now just thinking about it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I would have whipped around and been like, what? What?
For me,
what did you just say to me?
I didn't know if I could stop at just what.
Right.
So
say it again and then tell me why. Tell me what you mean. What do you mean by that?
I was going to lose my job that day if I turned around in any way, shape, or form. So I was just like, just keep walking, just keep walking, just keep walking. Like I was so, and it was so misogynistic and it was so brazen and so like he wanted me to hear him. I could see him in the mirror like smirking. Because, when you're walking into the bar, our bar is covered in mirrors.
Yeah, it's
and
got the mirrors all the
you know
way
what I mean? I
across.
could see him smirking in the bar as he's saying this. And I knew that if I turned around and said anything, it was not going to just be, I'm sorry, what? It was going to be a long string of insults. and I would have lost my job.
Right.
And I can't afford to lose my job right now over something like that.
Sure.
So
I don't fucking understand people who think they can just say whatever they want, whenever they want to. And it's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm still a human being. Also, I can't get over the fact, I'm not just another guest at this establishment. Like, you're not just talking shit on somebody. I very well could be your server.
Right.
I very well could set these fucking plates down and walk back over to you and be like, hi, it's me again. That person that you were just talking shit to.
Yeah, now...
Are you happy?
I'm also getting your drinks.
Right.
Who knows what's going to be in there now? Probably this hair that didn't...
Yeah.
that I need to redo.
Oh, let me redo it into your drink.
Yeah. Not that I've ever
Probably
done that
your
before.
Fucking Bud Light or
you,
whatever.
You never... It's coarse.
Yeah.
But you never know with people that are serving your food. You never want to mess with the person that's serving your food. Because
I can't fathom that.
Every restaurant I've ever worked in, nobody has ever spit. I've never watched anyone spit in food.
Not a single time.
I've never watched anyone put anything weird in food or drinks.
Nobody's put anything on the ground and then on a plate. Like, everything that you see in the movies does not happen in restaurants. If it did, those people are fired. Like,
right.
There's no getting... Everybody's got eyes on everybody. And also, nobody wants to do that. Like, we're here to work. I'm here to do my job. The only thing I've ever wanted to do, like, desperately wanted to do, is throw a drink at somebody. I want, like, if I win the lottery or if I am on my last day and I'm leaving, right? And I know that there can be no repercussions other than for me to just leave sooner, and somebody talks shit to somebody else or to me, they're getting an entire glass of soda and ice thrown in their face. Like, I want to do that so bad. So bad.
A topic for another day is going to be, like, major leaves. Like,
oh, yeah. The things that people say, and it does tend to be men. Like, older men seem to think that they can say things or whatever. So tonight, this is not even that big of a deal because I knew that this man was joking, and also I don't think he meant it from, like, a hurtful way. But when I walked up to the table and I was like, hey, how's everything? Like, how are we feeling? Because it was coming to the end of the meal. I'm trying to judge if they want to do dessert or not. So I said, hey, guys, how are we feeling? This man has had 1.5 glasses of wine. Like, he's not even done with his second glass of wine. He goes, well, I'm feeling like you're just the prettiest thing I've ever seen. Or the prettiest girl I've ever seen. And I looked at him and immediately said, oh, it only takes 2 to get there? Like 2 glasses of wine, right? But he's joking. I'm joking. Not a big deal. But at the same time, also, what the fuck are you saying right now, guy?
yeah.
Like,
Relax.
so what? When you walked in here, I wasn't pretty, and now I am because you're 2 glasses deep? Like, what? Or what's your point in telling me this right now? I'm not going home with you. You're 70 years old. Like,
Also, earlier today, you told me that he said that, and I was like, oh, so he's cut off. I didn't mean that in a sense of you're not pretty, because
no,
you're
of
fucking
course not.
gorgeous.
It's the fact that a table would say that to somebody.
To say that out loud to a stranger, you're cut off. Like,
I
you're
barely
being
know
weird.
you. Yeah, like, and I won't know you later, you know?
Yeah, I'm never going to know you.
On a funnier note, something that happened yesterday that me and a couple coworkers got a kick out of. So,
I was working yesterday. Was
you had left. You had left, and it was that large party that was still here.
Oh, yeah.
The one with all the wine glasses
Yep,
and
yep,
the people
yep,
who
yep,
stay
yep.
for forever and they think they own the restaurant and blah, 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 whatever.
Oh, they sued the rest. I'm pretty sure. We
Yeah,
talked about this earlier. I'm pretty sure they're the ones that sued the restaurant. And
yeah,
then
and they still come in.
they still come in.
Yeah.
The balls.
And they think that they're like so buddy-buddy with so many of us. And at the end of the day, they tip 10%. And we're all just like, yeah, whatever. Like, just come and go. Like, get out of here.
Did they tip him 10% on that big party?
I never asked.
Oh, okay.
It was 15 split checks. So I didn't.
Jesus.
I didn't
okay.
ask. At one point, all the check presenters were gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that tracks. They're closing out. So anyways, it was the end of the night, and that party had asked for the lights to be dim so that they could take photos. And which I thought was funny because it's like, when you want better light, I don't know, I guess less light, and then they were using like the flash of their cameras. But it looked like the private dining room had like closed down. Like, that's how dim the lights were. Like, it looked like it was off limits.
Yeah.
Because it was so much darker than the rest of the restaurant, right? Keep in mind, they're the only table left in the restaurant. It's 10:15. We've been closed for 15 minutes. Nobody else is left.
So it's like, okay, whatever, but also
Sure.
weird.
So server manager went to go. Our lights are behind those like big doors, like the metal like clip doors, you know? They're like, I don't know how to explain the way that they're clipped on.
It's almost like a fuse box.
It's basically, large fuse boxes, right? So she went to open one of those, and one of her acrylic nails popped off, like ripped off.
Ouch.
Right? And so it was me and 2 other servers, and then Cutie Patootie, and whose party it was, and then server manager, right? And so all we see is just something fly in the air and go like tink, tink, tink across the ground, right? And so Cutie Patootie looks down, and we all go, oh no, your nail, right? Because it's like bright pink, and so it's very obvious that it was her nail. And she's like, oh shit, it ripped off, and it looked painful. Like, looking at her nail, I was like, ooh, did that hurt? Like, are you okay?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, do you need that? And he gets down on the ground, he picks up her nail, and he hands it to her. And me and the other 2 girl servers just start laughing, and even server manager he goes, I don't know, can't you glue it back on or something? And collectively, at the same moment, all 3 of us went, no! You can't glue it back on. Half of her real nail is on that. But it was just so funny. He goes, oh, do you need that? And he like bends down and picks it up.
Too nice.
He's so sweet. He's so sweet. And it was just, and he's like, well, here you go. I don't know. And he's just like, whatever. I don't know anything about nails. And he walks away. And we all had a good giggle about that for a few minutes. Because I just,
so funny.
it was like, he was obviously just, I know he was being nice, but it was also the urgency in which he went to grab that. He was like, oh shit, you need that. And then like, bent down to pick it up. Like, here, you lost this. Like, it's not an earring, bro. She's not gonna. It was part of a set, and now it's gone. Like,
now it's trash. Well, you ready to check out?
I am so ready to check out. Let's get this night over with.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Rolling Silverware Podcast. If you are enjoying the post-shift shit talk, please feel free to rate it. Tune back in next week for our shift shenanigans.